Hello everyone. India currently is one of the biggest aviation juggernauts in the world right now, with mega players operating and a line of foreign carriers knocking on the door and waiting to enter the market. It's safe to say that our skies are buzzing more than ever. But what if I tell you this wasn't as straightforward as it used to be? What if I tell you some routes operated in and out of India which will make you wonder, wait, did they really operate that? So today with me, Avgeek Parik, let's discover some of the most unusual and unexpected international routes operated out of India. Sit back, relax, because this is going to be a wild one. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome or welcome back to Avgeek Parik. If you're new to this channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button and follow for more informative and cool aviation videos. If you're a subscriber, make sure to send it to your friends. Enjoy the video. Let us start off strong with India's national airline and a hero of many Indian aviation stories. Yes, I'm talking about Air India. Back in the day, there used to be a massive diaspora living in Africa due to British influence, and in order to cater to this diaspora, Air India began a number of flights to Africa, and not just Nairobi and Mauritius, but also a few offbeat destinations. Some of them include Accra in Ghana, Lusaka in Zambia, Harare in Zimbabwe, and Entebbe in Uganda. These were some places where there was a massive Indian diaspora, but eventually, due to a myriad of factors, these routes were eventually axed with only Nairobi remaining. Eventually, Nairobi also bit the dust in 2025, with Mauritius being the only route in Africa that is served by Air India. Now, apart from the African flights, Air India flew to a couple of interesting destinations in the glorious 1960s. Back in the day, Air India flew to the beautiful Pacific islands of Fiji. Air India flew from Bombay to Nadi in Fiji through stopping over at Singapore, Perth, and Sydney. Yes, these long marathon flights were the norm before ultra long haul non stop flights became even a thing. Now, the reason that they flew to Fiji was similar to the African destinations. There was a massive Indian community living there due to the British influence. Now, let's take a jump back again 10 years in the past in the 1950s when Air India operated the Constellation aircrafts. Now, due to these aircraft's limitations, Air India flew its Bombay to London flights, stopping over at some interesting destinations like Dusseldorf. Now, it's still debated whether they had passenger rights to these destinations, but to any person who is not into aviation, it surely make them go, wow, did Air India really fly there once upon a time? That's the beauty of aviation, ladies and gentlemen. From Air India, India's other big carriers have no shortage of interesting routes that they did fly or currently do fly to. Let's take Indigo, India's largest airline, as an example. If Air India is riding on the massive VFR and diaspora traffic, Indigo is riding on the massive and growing leisure traffic. Indigo flies to destinations like Siem Reap in Cambodia, Krabi in Thailand, and Laguaki and Penang in Malaysia, which reflects its eagerness to ride on the massive travel boom that is being experienced and to be one of the biggest players in it. Currently, these routes see a massive influx of Indian tourists, and Indigo wants to make the best out of it. And even in the past, we've seen a couple of interesting routes from the once renowned Jet Airways. Jet Airways once upon a time flew its North America routes to New York, Newark, and Toronto from India via a rather interesting stop. Yes, I'm talking about Brussels in Belgium instead of the usual suspects like London or Frankfurt. The airline flew various routes from Brussels to from North America and India into the Belgian capital from destinations like New York, Newark, Toronto, Mumbai, Delhi, etc. It also was one of the first Indian airlines to fly to San Francisco via Shanghai in China, and also to fly to Vietnam with flights to Ho Chi Minh City via Bangkok. In all the sense and regards, it truly was one of the best airlines, and not only that, it was one of the most ahead of its time as well, as both of these routes are one of the most popular among Indians. Along with the Indian carriers, some of the most interesting routes to and from India have also come from foreign carriers. Take Czechoslovakian Airlines for example. In the past, the airline flew its Prague to Bangkok routes while stopping over in Mumbai. Now, this was done in order to refuel the aircraft as the aircraft did not have the range to fly non-stop. Now, as our economy is growing more than ever and the Indian market is opening up further to trade, there are a number of foreign airlines which have shown keen interest in the Indian market and also have launched their flights into India with great success. Some of the most interesting routes I have found is Lot Polish Airlines' flights from Warsaw to Delhi and Mumbai, Rwanda Air's former flights from Kigali to Mumbai, interestingly also using Mumbai as a stopover point for its flights to Guangzhou in China, and Uganda Airlines flights from Entebbe to Mumbai. Now, in the early 2000s, as there was an immigration boom from India to the US carriers had no short of interesting flights planned along the way. Delta Airlines, for example, flew from Chennai to Paris. And along the way, Northwest Airlines also planned to fly from Bengaluru to Amsterdam, connecting onwards to its America flights. Truly, aviation has made the world an even smaller place. This fact is proper aviation gold for me. Once upon a time, Kolkata used to be one of the most famous stopover points for airlines flying from Europe onwards to East Asia and Australia. Back in the day, airlines like Alitalia, KLM, and SLS used Kolkata as a stopover point for its flights onwards to Australia and East Asia. Now, this was done because airlines did not have enough range to fly non-stop or even one stop for that matter, so they had to fly multiple stops. But with the arrival of longer range aircrafts like the 747, the need to have multiple stops evaded, and eventually the airline started to pull out of Kolkata. But that did not stop Kolkata from having interesting flights. Once upon a time, Royal Brunei Airlines also flew to Kolkata and used it as a stopping point for its flights to Dubai and Cairo. Well, what can I say? Aviation has definitely helped us to connect the most unusual of places. Now that's it from my side. Thank you so much for tuning into this video. Do like, share, and subscribe and send it to your friends. And do let me know down in the comments which route you find the most unusual. Till then, that's it from me, Avgik Parekh. Keep flying high as we decode the skies one story at a time. Peace.